Hey everybody, Conman1701 here to give you guys another video diary. This will be episode 7 in the video diary series, or 6, depending on if I have to redo video diary number 5, Heartbreak. But that'll be decided at a later date. I am just happy you are here to join me for this one. And this one is going to be focused on injuries and surgeries. Yes, I have had quite a few injuries in my 24, nearly 25 years of living. I've had 2 surgeries so far, with the third one on the horizon. That is for my eye. And yeah, so without further ado, let's just get right into it and let's discuss some injuries and the surgeries that I have. So starting off, back in good old 2014, late 2014, I'm in 8th grade. I have this media kind of class. We're mainly on computers and stuff, and I hate this class. I don't like the teacher. I don't like the class at all, although I'm a big computer kind of guy. I love computers. I love playing games. I pretty much live online, essentially. I spend a lot of my time on social media, although I am trying to get better at that and reduce my time spent on my phone and stuff. But that's not the point. I was just having it today. Wasn't in the best of moods. I have a couple friends in this class that I pretty much spent all my time with, and I don't know, I just came in today, didn't like the teacher's attitude, was high on energy, wasn't feeling the best, although, and I was just like, I've had enough. So I did a complete 180 and punched the whiteboard as hard as I could. And immediately following that, I felt nothing but pain in my right forearm for the rest of the day. My knuckles, my wrist, everything, the back of my hand was all swollen, and I had no idea what I did. Of course I knew I injured it, but I didn't know how badly I injured it. So after a day or so of icing it, heat, anything like that, keeping it elevated, the swelling still wasn't going down. I could barely make a fist. I couldn't move my hand or bend my wrist at all. And so my mom and I were like, all right, let's go get this x-rayed, see what's going on. Turns out I fractured my metacarpal bone in my ring finger and my pinky finger. Yes, this hand, the hand that is currently, fractured, had surgery done. Yes, this hand has been through a lot. But yes, my metacarpal bones were fractured, and I had to wear a cast for a good 2 months, I believe. I think it was pretty much during the holiday. I wore a green cast and a red cast, and it was pretty miserable going to school every day, not being able to write, and just falling behind on work and everything like that, and it just sucked. And I was only 13 at the time, and this was my first bone breakage, fracture, whatever you want to call it. And it was definitely a learning experience that I did not learn anything from, because I continue to punch things with this hand and injure it without meaning to. So that was my first big injury that I've sustained. Of course, I've sustained a bunch of other injuries, but nothing requiring, having x-rays or anything like that. So, moving on a few years, about 7 years, and it is the same time, fall, winter, and I'm deciding, hey, I need to go cash a check. I don't want to bother my mom with a drive up there. I'm just going to go ride my bike, cash my check, Everything's gonna go A-okay. On my way back from the bank, I come to this crossroad, Wayne and Palmer. I'm waiting, I check my phone real quick. I got a message. Don't think anything of it. I'm going to respond to it when I get home. Put my phone back in my pocket, and I'm ready. The signal changed. Crosswalk says I'm ready to go. I'm going, and someone, a freshly new driver, not even, not 17 yet, 6 months on their driver's license, I believe. Their mom is their passenger, and I'm guessing the mom told her to speed up at the last minute, or the daughter thought maybe she could make this light, and no bueno. I get struck, and I go flying at least 10 feet, and I am thinking, alright, my whole right side's hurting. Something's wrong. Why is my left side not hurting? I got struck on that side. But no, my left side was A-okay. I had some neck pain, but I just could not walk. Something was wrong. I thought it was my knee. I thought it might be my foot. Something. I don't know. Why is it hurting so bad? So I get taken to the hospital in an ambulance. And, I get x-rays, my whole leg, everything like that. And nothing's coming up wrong. And I'm starting to realize, okay, the pain is coming from my hip. What's going on here? So they do one more x-ray. One more. And they realize that I fractured my hip. And after some deliberating, they were like, alright, we're going to have to do surgery. And they did an open reduction internal fixation surgery on my hip. I will try and show you some pictures of that, maybe even the x-ray of after they put the plate and rod in my hip. It is still there to this day. But yeah, they get me all prepped. This is my first surgery ever. Haven't had anything like this before. Of course, I had already broken my metacarpal bones, fractured them before, so I knew what breaking a bone or fracturing a bone felt like. And, ooh, baby. Again, this was another 2 months through the holidays that I had a broken or fractured bone. But this was a lot worse. Recovery process was 2 months. Physical therapy, it took a while, but I was able to get back to work and everything. But I was bedridden, and I had to use a walker, and after everything was okay, and I didn't need a walker anymore, I had to resort to a cane, and yeah, it was miserable. I stayed here at my grandparents' during that time. I couldn't live anywhere with steps or anything like that, so my dad's house was out of the question, and at my mom's, I was living in the basement at the time. You can remember the basement from old videos way back when of me being in the basement. And yeah, so I couldn't be going up the steps or anything like that, so I just had to stay in bed for 2 months. Of course, I could get around, obviously, but for the most part, pretty bedridden, little activity, and that was the suckiest time. It really had a bad effect on my mental, and I just felt so useless. But I got through it. My hip does still have some issues to this day. It does hurt a certain way when I move and stuff like that. And without a doubt, when I'm older, hip replacement surgery is gonna happen. So that was my second ever injury. And from there on out, I was okay. I mean, there was a couple times when I was working at my job at the time, and we had a ramp set up where trucks come in to unload, and like the loading dock, and we had a ramp set up to push up these scrubbing machinery and stuff like that for the floors we cleaned. And I went up that ramp and it came out from underneath me, and my whole right side of my leg, specifically where my hip is and my thigh, boom, right into the back of the loading bay, and just, ooh, that hurt. It wasn't anything serious, but I had to go to urgent care, get it checked out, and I was out of work for a little bit. Now we fast forward a couple months later, actually, and, you know, we're getting ready to move houses and everything like that, and me and my mom have a bit of an episode, and then my sister came driving up next to me to bring me back home and stuff like that, and I freaked out at her, and things escalated, and then she drove off, and I got so mad that I punched a telephone pole and aggravated my hand and my wrist so much. It was like 2 months or so that I could barely use my right hand again, and it sucked. I mean, I had to wear a brace and everything like that. I was put on pain medicine, gabapentin to be exact, and it was kind of miserable because we were moving at the time and I needed to use my hand and all that. So I don't know if I fractured it or anything during that time. The doctors, when they were x-raying my hand for this injury, my fractured wrist, they said that there was a previous fracture that didn't heal all the way, but that there was nothing they could really do about it. Probably an issue for a later date, we'll see. But yeah, so this hand has been through a lot, and now we're up to current date, where, yes, obviously you guys know the whole story. I was working, it was coming down to the end of the shift, we had these plates in the back of the truck. With the way my eye is, not being able to see out of my left eye very well, so I couldn't, you know, took a step, the plate wasn't down, fell 5 to 8 feet into the belly of the truck, thought I just sprained my wrist. Nope. Later find out that they're fractured, and during the healing process, this one did not heal properly, or wasn't healing properly, and we required surgery on this bad boy. So we got a pin. The pin is right here in the back of my wrist. It's holding my bone in place. Hopefully no complications, nothing more happens, and this recovery process will be successful. I'll be back to work, and of course the eye surgery is something that is happening at a later date, and that will be another recovery process that I'm going to want to document and kind of, you know, do videos on, and kind of make, you know, a little bit of, like, not official video diaries like this one, but kind of chronicalizing my, I don't even know if I said that correctly, but just to chronicle my, you know, recovery process, because this eye surgery is a huge thing. And yeah, so those are the biggest injuries and the surgeries that I've had done on me so far. I'm sure there's plenty more to come, but if my luck is good enough, maybe I'll go through the rest of life with no issues. So we'll see. We will see. I mean, hip replacement surgery is a definite. Arthritis is going to hit me in the ass with this hand, and yeah, that is it for this video diary. I hope you guys enjoyed. I may do another one. I'm not entirely sure. It's really cold out here, and recording videos in the grandparents' house at this time is not feasible because there would be disturbance and interruptions, and, you know, they don't want to be on video. But we'll see what I can cook up and see if I can start getting my family in on more videos and come up with better ideas. So with that said, thank you for joining me for this episode of my video diaries. I will see you in the next one. Topic unknown at the moment, but I got some ideas of what I want to talk about. So if you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in the next video, or the next episode of Video Diary. Later!